Welcome everyone to another episode of Dynamics Corner. What is the difference between F&O and Business Central? Which one do you choose? I'm your co-host, Kris.
And this is Brad. This episode was recorded on February 12th, 2026. Kris. F&O, Business Central, Fabric, Power BI, AI, Data Lake, One Lake. There's a lot of things out there. And with us today, we had the opportunity to break some of that down with Renato.
I don't see that you are moving. I just hear you. I don't know what's happening.
Is it both of us are not moving?
But now it's better, but it was only Brad.
No.
It was just.
I hope I was paused.
Voice,
I hope I was paused in a good position, because you ever see like how sometimes when you're in meetings and such, and somebody will either drop or they'll have internet connectivity issues and they're in some crazy pose. See?
Yeah, obviously.
Yes, exactly. That's an idea. That's an idea for a website for somebody to create. What would we call it? Like disconnected pictures or something, and just the crazy pictures that people are hung in when they get disconnected, which is.
But we are like 6 years ago when all this stuff started. COVID and so on, and you still have like you are on mute. You're on mute.
Oh yeah, that's the famous quote. You're on mute.
Well, can you say that again? You broke up. Because when you're not paying attention, can you say that again? You broke up.
I'm pretty sure they sell T-shirts for those, man. That says you're on mute, or a hat that says you're on mute.
Well, to everyone's defense, I'll have to be the nice guy today. Like with Teams, if you go into a meeting now, it could be set to pre-mute everybody who joins. But I think that's also if there's a certain number of people already in the meeting, that it will mute the person who attends. And I'm assuming that's so that they won't cause a disruption to people already speaking. But
that's true.
It sounds like a good story.
Especially for the big groups.
Yeah. But speaking of that, you figured we still would be able to get like those large gallery meetings to work properly, right? Where you have 10 or more people, 16 or more people to be able to see everybody. And then also be able to see who's talking. It's we can AI vibe code the space shuttle and a rocket ship, but we can't have good video conferencing.
Exactly. Because this is still good enough, and there is no need to
That's good
improve.
Enough. Good enough.
Yeah.
Good enough. We can have an effect.
You could suffer the rest of the time.
Yeah, we can still have effective meetings, but enough of talking about our video conference woes. That is an idea. If somebody wants to make that website, let me know. I'd be interested in seeing all the photos and people could submit them. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Okay, thank you, Brad and Kris, for having me on this podcast. I think after a while we managed to somehow sync our calendars. Yeah. So thank you for having me on this. I'm very happy to be with you. My name is Renato. I'm coming from Croatia, Zagreb. In NAV world or in Dynamics space, I can say now a decade, and it's such a good word. I'm a decade. A decade of experience with working with ERPs, and I started as a developer, so I was an NAV developer, and I was just remembering 2 days ago with my current manager in this company what was my first task as a developer then, and it was like we had to connect NAV with the printer, and we didn't have that kind of printer because it's the old one where you have those continuous papers, with the whole side. Yeah. And we didn't have it, and then the customer sent this to us, to our premises, and sent 5 boxes of those papers just so we have for testing purposes. Exactly.
True story.
Matrix matrix printer.
I had that happen to me as well early on, where it was a laser printer, and someone had to send me a laser printer to the office for me to configure. And I want to go back to your stories, but I also remember it was faster one time I was going between New York and Boston area at one time, working with a lot of implementations in New York City. It was faster to get on the train from Boston, go to New York, grab a backup, come back to be able to restore it to work on it.
Yeah, but different times. Yeah,
Different times.
yeah, yeah. And from those development exercises, I switched to consultancy. So I was a Dynamics NAV consultant. And then 6 years ago, I switched role. Now I'm leading the team responsible for implementation of finance and operations, Business Central, Fabric, and so on at the customer side. But I also have my own company that I'm consulting for Business Central. As you know, Business Central is my my true love, I would say.
I share that love because I have Business Central in my veins, as they say, going through it. So you work with finance and operations, Fabric, and Business Central. And
Yeah.
you also do consulting. You have to be Superman.
Yeah, they have only 24 hours, so.
Yeah.
You work all 24 hours.
Do you work all 24?
Yeah.
That's an interesting combination because, I mean, if you go back historically, we had Navision, we had Exapta, which was DamnGuard. Navision had the Navision software. DamnGuard had Exapta, it was Exapta at that point. I forget when it was AX or Exapta. Then they merged, and then Microsoft purchased, because then wasn't it like Navision DamnGuard? That the company switched at one point or something. I don't know. And then it was always talked that, AX, Exapta, finance and operations was like the big brother to Business Central. And you're working with both of them today. Is there that much of a difference between the two?
I mean, if you think about how much you need to implement hours, and if you want to implement all modules, yes, it will be like big brother comparison to BC. But it's very nice to see that, for example, we are using finance modules mostly in our organization. And you can do the same process in the both systems without any issues. And users can very easily switch from one to another tool. Because we have some users that are working at the same time in BC and finance and operations. And they are...
Wow.
So they're using both.
Yeah. We have in one of our country, we have Business Central, while in the other 11, we have a finance and operations. So it's quite interesting.
That's an interesting pick of why someone would choose that. Listen, every business makes decisions for them. It just sounds, a little different from me.
It came to acquisitions,
okay,
mostly, because they just upgraded from NAV to BC, and it was like no benefit to migrate them to immediately after they migrated to BC to F&O. So they say, okay, we want to keep a little bit BC, and then let's see when we are going to move to group-wide solution.
Huh. That's amazing.
So you're saying so that they can work in finance, it's similar in finance. I have only seen F&O or finance and operations. I did sit through a small demonstration of it. I've gone through a demonstration on how to develop in it many years ago. But I never really had the opportunity to use it at any level. And I was always curious to know, because you have two ERP systems under one umbrella. Well, you have many ERP systems now because you also have Great Plains, but I think we know where that's going in the next couple of years, within the next couple of years, what the differences are between them. So it's challenging to see. I mean, I've always thought that Business Central was geared towards the SMB, small to medium businesses, and the finance and operations was geared towards the larger organizations. But now I'm also thinking and saying like Business Central could run a large organization with the current technology. Maybe many years ago, it had some constraints for some. It also defines it depends what you define a large implementation, because I've seen several large implementations even back of NAV 2009 with several hundred users. So I was just curious to know what the difference would be for driving somebody to one versus the other in 2026.
I mean, I would now go, if you ask me, I would go our situation is specific because we have 11 countries. and they are all on the same environment, same tenant. Everything works within one database, except Business Central has its own database. To achieve that kind of work, you will need 11 environments or multiple tenants and so on for BC. So this is the way when I will go to F&O. If you have multi-country, lot of localization, lot of partners, very heavy processes, a lot of transactions, then yeah, go to F&O. Even though, as you said, we can also support a lot of transactions as well with Business Central, with proper configuration, of course, of BC. Because you can also have issues in F&O if you set keys differently, wrongly. And
I think any system will sweat if you set it up improperly or use it improperly. It's a lot of times permission and performance. To me, performance is one, it's relative, because how fast should something go? I mean, I tell everyone, you can only fly from here in the United States, from Boston to Los Angeles so fast. I mean, you could say I'd like to be there in 5 minutes, but the reality is you have an entire continent you have to span. So that will definitely take some time. But yes, oftentimes it can be misconfigured. And any system, I'm not trying to say that any system's poor in that case, because you can code yourself into sleep or stoppage.
And I mean,
so primarily, because I get this question from time to time, especially when we have prospects that are moving, whether they do Business Central or another ERP. It could be other ERP, it could be NetSuite and so forth. And a lot of the questions like, when do we go to F&O? And I think my understanding, correct me if I'm wrong, is that typically around the localization, especially if you have multiple entities that spans across different locations where you have localization requirements, but they want to keep it the same tenant rather than multiple tenants and then having it talk to each other for consolidation. Is that the key factor of one of the big reasons why you want to go to F&O at that point?
Yeah, that was the reason, because of the consolidation. But then over the time we grow so much that even now consolidation cannot run in a, let's say, a time that we want to. And what we are now trying to achieve, and this is the project for this year and maybe next year, consolidated all the data from both systems in one data warehouse known as Microsoft Fabric, and then on top of that implement proper consolidation tool. Because many times I hear from Microsoft support, Microsoft engineer, look, this is the ERP, it's accounting software, it's processing tool. It's not consolidation tool. It's not meant that primary focus is consolidation. And for consolidation, we have various tools. Even they are saying you can use Power BI together with Fabric and consolidate all your statements, all your transactions on that way, rather than having load on the productional database.
Yeah,
that is
it's a good point.
That's another interesting point. It's again, your ERP software is for your transactional data, and then you have other tools that give you the analysis portion of it. So instead of trying to use the same tool for everything, offload some of that. See, I like all these.
No, I do like that, because a lot of times there's maybe some confusion, and I could be wrong from an accounting. I'm not an accounting person. But we work with a lot of accountants.
But you play one on TV, don't lie.
I play one on TV, and or behind the Teams meeting. But like, if you were to look at when they say, we need a consolidating company, and so they typically create a company in Business Central or F&O, but in reality, consolidation is really just for them to report against, to appease maybe some of the requirements for the consolidating all the different companies. So what you're doing right now is, rather than putting it into an entity in itself just to consolidate all the different places, instead you're putting it in Fabric and then presenting it in a Power BI report. I mean, that's really what it is, right? That's what consolidating is. It's just a reporting aspect.
At the end it's report. At the end product of consolidation is a report.
Yeah.
It's not some transaction and so on. And then when I now go back from that perspective, if I take a look at the process-wise, I could say that all the countries that we implemented in F&O, for example, we can split them into multiple BC instances, and nothing will break. Everything will work. Users will have the even better maybe UI, some advanced AI capabilities, and we will be able to achieve the same. Because as I said, process is not that complex in our F&O systems that we cannot support with BC currently. But of course, we don't have warehousing, production, manufacturing, and so on. So that's why I would say I have this opinion.
Yes. Okay. So from the manufacturing distribution point of view, maybe a different scenario. You had mentioned, and I was going to try to go the entire episode or recording, whatever we call these things, without saying AI, but you said more advanced AI features.
Yes.
So did you infer that Business Central has more advanced AI features today than F&O, or do you think they're relatively the same? I'm putting you on the spot there.
I mean, they both have MCPs.
There you go. That's
Yeah. That's one. But if you take numbers, like I like to be strict. Let's take numbers. If you open the BC and search for Copilot and agent capabilities, you will get 11 or 12 Copilots, right? You have data analysis, you have chat, you have summarization, marketing text, bank reconciliation, and so on. If you go to F&O, you will find up to 10, so not more than BC. So, and that's, I would say, the benefit of BC, because BC is more agile tool. We can implement more features, more AI features without interrupting the core standard. And F&O being beast, in my opinion, that's why they're somehow lacking behind the BC of having those Copilot capabilities within the tool.
Yeah, BC does have a lot. I think they're up to, I think I just did a presentation on AI within BC, and it's over 17 AI features, not necessarily just Copilot, but AI features. If you talk about the purchasing agent, sales order agent, let's talk about the expense agent. Now you have the agent preview, which came out 27.4. That you can work with. You have the MCP service, like you said. You have the Copilot chat, Copilot summary, Ask Copilot for the Copilot fields, bank reconciliation. I can keep going on.
BC is it's because I said this is my opinion because they are like smaller. They are better to innovate. And team is investing a lot. I'm not saying that F&O is not doing it, but I think it's much harder for them to achieve that.
No, I understand. It's much more difficult to shift a large vessel when it's moving than it is something that may be a little bit smaller and has the ability to do it. So I understand what you're saying. It's the Business Central team is doing a great job, and they have the opportunity because of just the way the architecture works and the way it's going through. So you work with Business Central Fabric. Fabric's another topic that people talk about. Just from an overview, what is Fabric? Because I hear when it's on data warehousing, I'm an old guy. People went from SQL Analytics, right? With a reporting server, a SQL reporting server, as their data warehouse. And then now I hear like One Lake, Data Lake, Fabric, all these other things. So what is Fabric in essence?
As I'm calling it to my finance team and I'm explaining, it's like one-stop shop for all your financial data in our case. So we are bringing all the data from various finance systems like F&O and BC into Data Lake. And from there we can manipulate with those data. So we are extracting data, you can transform, and you can, of course, load this data to somewhere else. So I would say Fabric will ultimately become like main repository for your data when we are talking about reporting and building analytics and dashboards on top of finance data.
So from the F&O point of view, how do you get the data into Fabric? And from the Business Central point of view, how do you get the data into Fabric?
This is where I like F&O. It's much easier than in BC. In F&O, you have a link between F&O and Fabric. So you are usually using through Dataverse and then pushing data to Fabric. For BC, we still don't have a connector natively that we can use. So we are relying to some community solutions like BERT has, or you can use Business Central how it's called, data flows, to import the data with data flows to Fabric workspace and then consume it from there. So those are the two ways that you can do now. There are a third way, which I don't like. It is like, that there is like native integration between Business Central and Dataverse.
Mm-hmm.
You have a connection between Dataverse and Fabric. So you can somehow that way bring data from BC to Fabric, but this is not the purpose of that connector between BC and Dataverse. Yeah. And I hope that soon we will have some data down or something like to Fabric.
So you can report off of F&O, external systems, and Business Central within Fabric, so you can do your data analysis. So if you have disparate systems or even historical data, right? I think a lot of times individuals, if they're going through a new implementation or an upgrade even, the challenge is, what do I do with my data? Do I convert everything and bring it into my ERP software? Or do I leave my existing system functional? Or even from the reporting point of view, I have multiple systems. How do I get them all together? Do I do interfaces to import data into one system so I can do all my reporting in one place? But now we can take it up a layer, like you said, let the ERP software manage the transactions and the data reside somewhere for you to be able to do reporting on.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, this is like always, as you said, on upgrades for new implementation or re-implementation. Should I bring 10 years of my GL to a new system, or should I bring this outside and then connect both the systems in Fabric?
Yeah, I'd have to look at some analysis. I wonder how much of an upgrade or an implementation has to do with data management. Not even an upgrade necessarily, or even like if you're moving to a new system, right? If you really are trying to take that data, how much of the effort is really in bringing that data over, and why, right? So, I mean, I can understand open transactions, right? Open sales orders, open purchase orders, open receivables, open payables, even maybe a couple years worth of GL information so that you can do some financial reporting, in that system without having to go externally. But again, you could still go externally. But I really am curious to know I'd like to see that, how much of an upgrade implementation goes with data management.
The value in itself.
I mean, in past when I was
yeah,
Chris. Sorry. I said in previous when I was a consultant, I mean, we never move transactional data. It's always like open transactions, like you mentioned, Brad, and then you either do some BI. Bring this data to some BI dashboards and so on. I don't see value of bringing all transactions in the Business Central or any database. You're just growing the old database.
There's a cost to space. From the Business Central point of view, I don't know how it's licensed within F&O, but I know Business Central, you get with the system and the number of users you have, large capacity for data, and why consume that with nothing? I call it nothing.
Yeah. I mean, same in F&O, you have like you're buying licenses and you're getting some capacity, and on top of that, you can buy as well capacity if you need, of course.
I wonder where this will all go. Like, there's just a lot. Right. I keep saying, and I'll say this on every episode, almost like a broken record, I just miss like the simple days. I wonder if we'll ever get back to the simple days, because now I don't know how you do it, but with the understanding and managing all that, because the technologies is just expanding. And then now, forget it, you throw AI and models and all this stuff into the mix, and it's like, which way am I going? Or how do I manage all of that?
I think there is no point of returning back. So we just need to embrace AI in our day-to-day life, building reports and so on.
Oh, you have to embrace it. It's, I think I've been reading a lot of interesting articles, even with some of the new models that came out. I do quite a bit with it each night or each evening, and even use it several times during the day. But I think what you can do with it, if you use it properly, is amazing. And even I'm excited about the features within Business Central. I'm really excited to work with the Agent Playground to be able to create my own agents. That's my fun for this weekend, is I'm going to work with the new agent preview to create some agents to see what I could do and have some fun.
Yeah, I mean, I like this stuff, what we saw already about policies, that you can upload the policy and, for example, see if your customer is always overdoing their payments. So do we have some that are not compliant to our policies and so on?
No, it's amazing what it can do, and it's getting so much better because it is almost like having an employee or an assistant. So, the word Copilot from the Microsoft, platform is truly what it is. It's like, Kris, you had mentioned it several episodes ago and something. It really is like a Copilot that's helping you get your tasks done, which is it's breathtaking, I guess you could say. It's mind-numbing and awestruck. I don't even know what to say. It's even now pushing back in a sense, where it's saying, "Oh, did you want to do this?" Because you can see, like, when you put it in the mode, you can read the text. Oh, the user wants to do this. User wants to do that. And I asked it to do something, and it said, "Oh, are you sure you want to do this? Because you could do it this way." I was like, "What?"
Yeah. It gives you suggestions to do something different and better. And sometimes you don't realize, like, oh yeah, I didn't think about that. It's like it's making you be more efficient in thinking about more the intent of what you're trying to accomplish, rather than just actioning against what the prompt you've given it.
Yeah, and that's what I like. That's follow-up questions. I mean, just some example from my personal life. I started to work out, and I said, okay, give me I want to do this. I have 30 minutes. Give me the exercises that I. And then he came with follow-up. Do you want the images of how this exercise should look like? I was like, yes. I never thought of that, because I was already in my mind that, okay, he will give me the exercise. I don't know, push-ups, and I will go and Google how to do push-ups. No,
that's actually a perfect example, because when you say push-ups, right? People don't realize there's different ways to do push-ups. You don't just do normal push-ups. And so, to be more efficient, you should do this kind of push-ups if you want, bigger upper body strength, right? It's pretty interesting that it's allowing you to be more focused in what you're trying to accomplish, more intentional, rather than just oh yeah, go do a push-up and you'll improve.
But you bring up a good point with that. One, I wonder how all this stuff works. I wonder, but I've given up trying to understand how it can be like talking to a person. Like I said, I'm going to start hooking voice up to it and have it just talk back to me. But you can use it for so much more than just code, right? Because a lot of people talk about AI and coding and being able to produce all this stuff. On a side note, yes, you can do it with AL for Business Central, but people are making all these apps for a lot of things. I'm wondering where all these apps go, by the way, because I see all these people online oh, I spent this much long, coded this app, did all this, I'm doing all this. Who's going to use all these apps? And I'm going to go on a little tangent right now. All these apps that are created with AI, if we don't have quality standards for it, then we're going to lose our trust in the applications, right? Because now people think, oh, I'm going to buy the software application. It's going to do something for us. History repeats itself. People used to write their own applications, and then everyone started purchasing applications, right? Remember when people, even with ERP software, a lot of people would write their own ERP software. And then they realized, well, it's not cost effective, and we could have somebody else maintain it, get feedback from all these other users, and then write it. And then we purchase it, and we have the business value from it. But now if everybody's vibe coding, as they call it, all these different applications, what are you going to download and install and use? And if it's not trustworthy, people are going to be okay, it's easier for me just to do it myself, because at least I know what I'm getting and I can fix it quickly. So that was my side thing. But to go back to your point, you can use it for so much more than just coding. It's
and you said vibe coding, and I think I read yesterday or 2 days ago. It's not anymore vibe coding; it's now vibe working.
Yeah, people are now. It's a good way to. That's a good way to put it. It's not. It's not just for development.
It's not. Yeah. It's not. I see it used in many ways, and like I said, you're almost you are, if you haven't started using it, you need to start using it. I mean, the people have been saying that for months. And months in AI terms is like decades and maybe even centuries in human terms, because the turnaround every 3 months is crazy. But to use it even for, like you said, if your person was to help you come up with a workout, yes, you can validate and come up with a workout, but at least it brings exposure to you for a workout plan. I've known people who've used it for financial plans. I've known people who've used it to create other types of plans for themselves in documentations, and even, researching and summarizing topics.
Yeah, I mean, what I also like, I mean, on top of that workout plan, it was also that you know that you can connect Spotify and so on to ChatGPT, like an app, and then you ask, please suggest me Spotify playlist on top of that.
No, I did not know that.
Yeah, you can. So it's crazy. I mean, I also using it sometimes for hiking. You can also connect app that is AllTrails. It has all kind of trails for hiking. And they just say, okay, I want to go there and there. Give me that hike. I want that this is like medium.
Really?
Medium.
I use AllTrails. I mean, when I'm up north and I do the hiking up north, I use AllTrails, and I use it to track all my stuff. So you can use AI with that now?
Yes, you can use it AI within the AllTrails when you are creating a route. So you have like, okay, I want to go, I don't know, to Mount Everest. Give me the shortest route and with the less steep, and it will create a route like that for you.
And it tells you how to prepare for it at the same time. Yeah.
Where are we going to be without AI? Is there anything that doesn't have AI in it?
There's going to be a dependency on this AI down the road. I would say probably in 3 years that there's going to be a lot of dependency on AI and the things that we
3
do.
years? 3 years, AI won't even be AI anymore. It will be something completely different. That's like a lifetime.
Robotics.
That's several lifetimes away. I mean, I saw this week, Notepad even has AI now. That was a big problem with Windows in the update. Like I said to myself, for a simple text editor, like that's what you want sometimes. Like just to jot a quick note. Why do you need AI in Notepad? It's like we're getting AI in everything.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I like to say, I think this is just the beginning. It was like 2 years ago it became mainstream, and I have feeling it's just the beginning. When you say Agent Playground, what it can do just by you typing the words, and what it can do in the BC.
That, I think the Agent Playground, the MCP was exciting. I think there's a certain space for that, right? For certain types of organizations, for interconnectivity and stuff. But I really do see the Agent Playground, to me, or Agent Preview, I think they named it now. I pay attention to the GitHub repo for documentation, and I think it was February 6th. They did change it to Agent Preview, I believe, right before the update for 27.4. I think that will get a lot of use. It's almost going to be like it won't be as exciting to me as the analysis mode was on the list pages, because to me, that's still by far like one of the best things that were added to the application. But I think the Agent Preview, or Agent Playground is what it was called before, is going to be another big one for even small tasks. I'm not necessarily saying end-to-end processing like the sales order agent or purchasing agent. I'm saying, like you said, even go through, take a look at all my customers with an overdue balance and block them, right? Little simple tasks like that to help you manage stuff.
Here's the thing that I'm actually pretty excited about. So Copilot has this two tools that I actually really love. One is the analyst mode, where you feed data to it. And remember how not too long ago we were like, oh, ChatGPT or AI couldn't crunch numbers or couldn't really grasp the numbers that you provide, right? Now the analyst mode, you can do that. You give it some Excel data and it's going to give you some trends and all that stuff. There's also research mode. I would love to see, and I don't know if this is something that they're working on. So you know how you have analysis mode in Business Central? Mm-hmm. If they slap analyst agent within that, game changer, because it's just going to give you the trends and things to look out for and look at patterns from your analyst mode or analysis mode in Business Central. So if they marry that together, man, that would be one of the biggest exciting feature if they are going to push that, because eventually it'll get there. Have you guys played with that yet? The analyst mode in Copilot?
No, not yet. I played only with analysis mode. but I saw some videos
on the Copilot.
on
Yeah, you should check it out. So you fed it with, it has to be like a database structure,
Hmm.
and you feed it, and you'll say, hey, tell me, can you analyze this report? And it gives you a pretty good summary of trends and patterns and so forth, and makes you suggestion as well. And so
Yeah.
if you could do it that way, I'm sure you could do it in Business Central at some point in the near future.
I would say that this is we're using it Copilot, and this is when things will explode. When you will be able to, on a single click, bring all your data under one UI. Because I was thinking, if I need to go to BC to run some data analysis view, and then go to Power BI to run some reports, I mean, it's again, changing the focus, changing what I'm doing. But if I would be able, like, to ask in Copilot, create me a report and give me underlying data set, and I can trust to this, that would be like crazy.
Yeah. So, Renato, from your perspective, I'm curious what you think about this. So, the idea is for us to remove friction when someone interacting with Business Central. And a lot of times what happens is somebody has to go to an external application, for example, Power BI, or they may have a data warehouse and things like that. So but we also have clients that, especially in the SMB space, and it's like, why can't I just do everything within Business Central? Do you see at some point where you just do everything in Business Central, including the report? Because we know that there's Power BI reports now in Business Central, so you don't have to go too far. You can just have a single place to go to and just give me everything I need, including agents, interactions, and so forth.
I mean, for the end user, I think this is the way to go, that I have everything under one tool. Either it's called Business Central, or I can access to my Business Central data inside Power BI. And I think that we already have this in one of the Power BI reports, where you can drill down back to the BC. So I would say this is the good path. Yes, Brad.
No, I'm waiting. I'm thinking. I definitely think you'll get to that point. I think this is probably where the extension of the MCP comes into play, because now you'll have disconnected systems that can communicate with each other and pull the information back. And I don't know if necessarily, again, this is just my thought, right? Because I do agree with you. It's almost like we have all this data. I just need one place to go to get it. Therefore, for the most part, this is why I keep saying, like, software becomes faceless. You're almost going to build the interface that you need at that time, if you follow what I'm saying. So if I need to do analysis, if I have a warehouse management system and I have an ERP system, because I'm not using my ERP for the warehouse management system, people have disparate systems for many different reasons, but I need to do cross reporting. Maybe you could have that, like you said, this is where some of that MCP functionality will come into play, because now you have that information exposed and the systems will know how to speak with each other to work with it. I'll be curious to see how performance works with all these, with some large data sets. And, everything works great with 1 or 2 records. I'm curious to see when you have, organizations that span continents and do a number of transactions.
But if you also take a look, like if you have AP agent, accounts payable agent, you receive an invoice, and it will be able to process all these documents for you automatically in Business Central, and output of that will be some analysis of vendor payments, payment to our vendors. You will not need to log into BC. You will just get a report in Power BI or whatever automatically.
You won't even have to go to work. You just sit on the beach and open up your phone and look at the report.
Yeah, and you will get a report like you received 50 invoices, we processed successfully all 50. Enjoy your day. You are done for today.
I mean, even from a report perspective too, like you don't have to, because a lot of times you look at the dashboard or report and you're like, okay, how do I translate this? What am I supposed to get out of this? A lot of times, I'm sure you guys have across this too. Like I've come across this too, where you interact with a C-suite and say, I want this kind of report, but at the end of the day, they don't always necessarily read it or understand it. They just want to see dashboard, and they still need to be translated of, okay, what am I looking at? What do I need to do to make adjustments based upon this report? Eventually you just have Copilot tell you, okay, this is what it's telling you in natural language, and here's what you need to do. What do you want me to do with that? And you can just say, Copilot, go ahead and action those things, and then it'll just, it just works with other agents to make those adjustments. At that point, you're just going to be a decision maker. Yes, no. I'm not sure.
This is what I usually present on my sessions at the conferences. Like, you need to know who are your audience for the reports, and we have this from Kenny, right, on the Microsoft Learn. You cannot, C-suite is not interested in tables and so on. They need a dashboard, as you said, Kris, and reason why is that number there. Yeah, and how to fix it if need to be fixed.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Knowing your audience is important. I start thinking about this stuff. I almost stopped talking about it. In this context, I do speak on the podcast with it and stuff, but outside of it, sometimes I stop talking because I think people think I'm crazy, or they won't understand like what you can do with AI in a sense. It's the world is changing fast, and sometimes I go to bed and I wake up and something new's here. But yes, like you said in sessions, know your audience when it comes to anything that you're working on, whether it's reporting or even interface or functionality or usage, which is important. Yeah.
Usually on our session, for example, when we are doing telemetry with my colleague Milan, we ask our audience, are you developers, are you consultants? Because, some topics are important equally for developers and for consultants. And AI is one of that as well.
Well, AI almost levels a lot of that stuff out, because even if you look at like some analysis with telemetry, right now, Waldo has his tool for telemetry. I've seen other people, create some AI stuff, instructions, I guess you could call them. The term changes, instructions, agents, prompts, skills, tomorrow will be something else, tasks, and you keep coming up with all the different words with it. But to be able to help you with analysis and consolidate it, like I've done it, even taking logs from my internal VPN here and just throwing it to analyze these logs and tell me what you see, simplicity. And it comes back and it tells you certain information about those logs. So I don't know anything about it. I just know what it tells me it analyzed. So
yeah, and it will even be proactive and give you an explanation that you even didn't think about it.
Yeah, and if it doesn't have one, it will come up with a good sounding one too.
Exactly.
Even if it doesn't have it, which is
I got a quick question for you, Renato, on you working in Business Central and Fabric. Clearly there's some SMB folks that wants to tap into kind of a data warehouse capability from Business Central. Do you have any preference in terms of how do they, what's the best way to get them into a data warehouse? Is it Fabric still? I know people have said it's expensive, or it can get pretty expensive depending on and how it gets done. Is there any other way for SMBs to get a good data warehouse, to get them started at least?
To get started, how we started. Back then when it was not Fabric, we started by pulling our data to a Power BI service through data flows, and then building our, let's say, small warehouse for analyzing AP stuff in data through data flows in Power BI service, and then building our reports on top of data sets in Power BI service. So that's, I would say, the good approach. And I can share, for example, 1 million of transactions, of GL transactions we loaded from BC to Power BI in less than 5 minutes. So it's very performing well if you need also huge data set of 1 million transactions. So yeah, that's my recommendation how to start. So Power BI service, I don't think it's too expensive to have Power BI Pro license or per user premium, and start with building queries and then exposing data from BC to Power BI.
Okay, yeah, it's a good way to get them started, because a lot of times we're like, they want to be able to slice and dice data quickly. Obviously you have analysis mode in Business Central to get what you need, but if they want to be able to crunch numbers, or maybe even pulling data from other external system, you're saying it's a good way to start with just Power BI services.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. You have data flows that are working very and reliable. We are using it like for, I would say, 1.5 years or 2 without Fabric, so perfectly fine for our needs, which is analyzing general ledgers, accounts payable, accounts receivables inside Power BI.
Yeah.
Excellent. There's a lot to that there. Well, Mr. Renato, sir, thank you very much for taking the time to speak with us today, this morning. I look forward to seeing you at some of the upcoming events. Are you going to come to Directions North America this year? No,
Directions North America, no.
No?
No, my trip will start with Days of Knowledge in UK, and then hopefully we'll see each other, if not in Europe, then in Nashville.
Oh, Nashville. Are you going to Nashville?
I hope I will be there.
Oh, I hope you'll be there too. I'm looking forward to going to Nashville in October.
Yeah. I heard there are some promises about speaking engagement and so on.
Yes. Yeah, we'll have to get together on that to see. So if anyone has any other questions or like to learn more about the content that you speak or where you'll be presenting, the content you're presenting, we talked about a lot: F&O, Business Central, Fabric, Power BI. What's the best way to get in contact with you?
I mean, it's either through LinkedIn or I can share my email with you. But as I say, I'm on LinkedIn X. You can contact me and I will reply to your messages.
Excellent. We'll put a link to your profile as well with the show on the website. Thank you again. Look forward to seeing you. If I don't see you before, I'm going to see you at the end of the year in Nashville. We'll have a lot of fun. Thank you again. I'll talk to you soon. Ciao. Bye.
Thank you, Kris, for your time for another episode of In the Dynamics Corner Chair. And thank you to our guests for participating.
Thank you, Brad, for your time. It is a wonderful episode of Dynamics Corner Chair. I would also like to thank our guests for joining us. Thank you for all of our listeners tuning in as well. You can find Brad at developerlife.com. That is DVLPRLIFE.com. And you can interact with them via Twitter, DVLPRLIFE. You can also find me at matalino.io, MATALINO.io. And my Twitter handle is Matalino16. And you can see those links down below in the show notes. Again, thank you, everyone. Thank you, and take care.